right, and welcome to our 10th episode of our second season of TACTALK. I am your host, Alden Morris. So, I want to dive right into this episode, but first I do need to share some good news, and an explanation. So Friday, this past Friday was the 18th of January 2018, and we had a Rally for Your Rights event at the state capitol in Olympia, Washington, to rally against their rights, or rally for our rights against Attorney General Bob Ferguson, our Lieutenant Governor Habib, and our Governor Jay Inslee, because they have done nothing but go on a full-on assault on our weaponry, our quote-unquote semi-automatic weapons and our assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, the whole 9 yards. So, Rally for Your Rights Capitol event on the 18th was scheduled from 9 a.m. till noon. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it. I was actually at court over in Tacoma, Pierce County Superior Court, going through a family court situation with two girls. And the good news about that is I did come out on top. My original plan was to go immediately from Tacoma Superior Court down to Olympia. It's only about a 30-minute drive. But when my court hearing started at 9 a.m., we ended up having to wait an hour and a half on the mother of my children's lawyer. So he was an hour and a half late. Once he was late, he tried pulling all the shebangs. And it was great when Judge Kirkendall, Karina Kirkendall, said that his client has no credibility, and then rewarded me with the new parenting plan, a minor modification on a new parenting plan, and then encouraged me to do a major modification on a new parenting plan and gave me a trial date for July. However, because that took so long, I had to wait for copies, and I had to wait for her lawyer, and the whole shebang, we actually didn't get out of the courthouse until about after 12. So that was disappointing because I missed going to the Capitol and being with people that I still love and I support, people that know me, people that I know. I did miss a great event, but there will be many, many more, and my children are very important, so I will have to always put them first. Moving on. Since the event on the 18th at the Capitol, there has been a lot of changes. For example, Lieutenant Governor Habib is a blind man. Pathetic in my opinion, to be honest, because if you have to, I'm not against hiring the disabled. I'm against hiring the disabled. They're going to cost more money. So, for example, if you hire this blind man, whether he's partially blind, whatnot, apparently he's not able to complete his job as Lieutenant Governor because he's wasting a lot of the people's time and taxpayer dollars and pissing a lot of people off. Now, obviously, he's not for the people; he's against the people. What he did on Friday was he actually closed parts of the Capitol and made it restricted to firearms. In our hallways and our galleys, we have you can watch your legislators in action. You have the ability, because those legislators are funded by taxpayer dollars, and you have every right legally to go in and watch how your legislators and your representatives vote on your behalf and how they handle new laws and these types of things. And unfortunately, Lieutenant Governor Habib closed off most of the building so that way the people who were there supporting their firearm rights could not walk into the building with their firearms, because he doesn't trust you with the gun. When your elected officials don't trust you with a weapon, they're not really your elected officials, they're your appointed officials. And he's saying a lot by not letting it's discrimination at its finest. There's no difference between me and another law-abiding citizen. I only, just because I support guns doesn't make me a criminal. Just because I support firearms and I have firearms and I probably tote my firearms as a means for everyone to have their firearms doesn't mean that I'm going to walk into some random building and start shooting the place up because of what he hears on social media or on mainstream media. It's ridiculous. So for that to happen, for the building to be closed down to people who have firearms is a type of discrimination. For him to not be able to do speeches because he's afraid of someone having a concealed weapons, permit, and a concealed weapons at that, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, he cannot complete the job he was hired or elected to do. Obviously, he needs to be let go. Even Sigmund Freud said that a fear of a weapon is a sign of sexual retardation. So, look it up. It's not not making that up. Moving on. Come that time period, Friday, Saturday, January 19th, so Saturday, I was tagged by Sean Havoc, and a shout out to Sean Havoc. He is one of the supporters of the show. He did initially helped fund the launch off of TACTALK. So I'm only sitting here in part because of Sean Havoc. So again, thanks to Sean Havoc. He did tag me on social media, Facebook, with the coalition, or the Washington State Firearms Coalition. I'm just going to read it off here, and then what I've done is I told him I'd look more into it, and I'd be hosting a show on it as well. We'd be doing a call to action. So it says, and there it is, the weapons ban. These dirty, rotten rock suckers, these dirty cotton rock suckers, finally played their hand. House Bill 1286, introduced Friday by the request of the Attorney General. The Washington assault weapons ban was introduced this week, combined with 1639, would eliminate the sale or transfer of any semi-automatic rifle forever. Under this bill, you could keep the one you had, but you could never sell or dispose of it. You can't sell it in-state under this bill, and under 1639, you cannot sell it out-of-state. It lists brand names plus copycat features, and of course, the all-encompassing semi-automatic rifle now includes any tube feed magazine exceeding 10 rounds. You cannot bring any semi-automatic rifle into Washington. Competition's outlawed. Training, kaput. Out-of-state law enforcement, you cannot bring your duty rifle into Washington. It's illegal for you. So I was tagged, and then this primarily affects Sean Havoc because he works like I worked, doing a lot of contracting with local law enforcement, things like that, fugitive recovery work, surveillance, a lot of good stuff that a lot of people that I associate with, a lot of people that I have as associates, do. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are out-of-state law enforcement that if they were to come into the state, naturally bring their own duty rifle for training events, like down at the Timber, Oregon J-Rock Training Center. With those guys, it's just ridiculous what's going on here. Moving on, what I've done is I've looked into it, and we're going on 7 minutes into we're out 7 minutes. So before I actually start reading off these different House bills, we are going to take a commercial break. But I do want you to know that when we come back from this commercial break, I have looked into this. I have actually pulled up the actual links here from the .gov, wa.gov website, so our sources are going to be accurate here. And yes, they are going after our high-capacity magazines. They are going after the semi-automatic weapons. They are going after everything. Registration is next to confiscation. So we'll talk more about this when we get back from our commercial break, and stay tuned. Thank you for listening to our 10th episode of our second season of TACTALK. I'm your host, Alden Morris. We'll be right back. Bees Combat Systems at beescombatsystems.com. Protecting those who prepare. 801-987-0893 for custom body armor carriers and tactical gear for military, law enforcement, contractors, corporate security, responsible citizens, and border patrol. Bees Combat Systems at beescombatsystems.com. 801-987-0893. Alright, welcome back to our 10th episode of our second season of TACTALK. I'm your host, Alden Morris. So this is a call to action. Before I call in action, I am going to read off these different Washington State legislator bills that are trying to go through. So I pulled up an article. I will leave this at the link at the bottom for the YouTube channel as well as the Facebook Live podcast. So you will have access to these links if you'd like to go check them out for yourself. Now give me 1 second so I can take a sip of coffee here while I go and read these off. Alright. So, just months after pushing the passage of Initiative 1639 to impose severe regulations on purchasing and possessing semi-automatic firearms, Attorney General Bob Ferguson has now introduced legislation that would outright ban commonly owned semi-automatic firearms with certain features. Senate Bill 5340, sponsored by Senator Patty Kerderer, whatever her name is, D48, and companion House Bill 1286, sponsored by Representative Strom Peterson, D21. were filed at the request of the Attorney General. They would ban possession of commonly owned semi-automatic firearms based on certain listed cosmetic features, along with specifically listed firearms and magazine capable of holding more than 10 rounds. Those who own these firearms and magazines prior to the ban would only be allowed to possess them on their property and in other limited instances, such as at licensed shooting ranges if they are transported, unloaded, and locked. A violation of this firearm ban would result in a Class C felony. This comes in addition to Ferguson's already introduced legislation to ban standard capacity magazines, Senate Bill 5062 and House Bill 1068, which have been both scheduled for committee hearings next week, along with other gun control bills. Now, this is written on January 19th, 2019, so this past Saturday, so it's only been 2 days. So yes, next week these bills will be going onto the floor. Then it says, if you haven't already, please take action at the nraila.org. So it mentions first that next week bills 5062 and 1068 are going in. And I have pulled up here 1068 and bills 5062. So, Bill 5062 sponsors include Gradurer, Hunt, Dingra, Kaiser, Pedersen, Darnielle, Saldana, and Froht. Bill is HP 1068 concerning high-capacity magazines. Looks like it's introduced into the Senate. Moving on, we have Bill 5062. Oh, no, I just read that one. I apologize. We have Bill 1068. It's in the House, introduced. Sponsors are Valdez, Jenkins, Kilduff, Stonier, Pilicchiotti, Orwell, Stanford, Slatter, Kloba, Peterson, Ryu, Appleton, McCree, Cody, Berquist, Doglio, Robinson, Polay, Sen, Frame, and Wallen. So, if you recognize any of those names from any type of the state representatives or district representatives that I've read off here, know that if it's your district representative and they've, for example, like Kilduff, obviously she's against fucking our firearms rights. So just, moving on. It mentions in the beginning of the article Senate Bill 5340 and House Bill 1286, sponsored by Representative Strom Peterson. And these were the ones that filed at the request of Attorney General. These are basically competing bills. So Senate Bill 5340, for example, sponsors are Kadura, Dinger, Carlisle, Hunt, Nizer, Nguyen, I've never known how to pronounce that name, Saldana, and Wellman. And this one is banning the sale of assault weapons and large capacity magazines. This was also introduced into the Senate. And then it goes on to mention House Bill 1286, the banning the sale of assault weapons and large capacity magazines. Sponsors are Peterson, Valdez, Appleton, Dolan, Frame, Ryu, Robinson, McCree, Wallen, Berquist, Kloba, Paulay, and Ty. So, I've got those 4 bills. Basically, 2 bills are put through. 2 following bills are therefore copycat bills that in case the first ones don't pass, the second ones can pass by some type of tricky legislation. And that's the frustrating part. So, yes, this is a call to action for disobeying unjust laws. So I'm just going to put that there now, 5 minutes into the second segment. And again, I will be leaving the link for the NRA ILA article here that was written Saturday, January 19th. That says Washington Attorney General introduces additional gun ban legislation. I will be leaving the information for the Senate bill, or the SB 5062, HB 1068, HB 1286, and SB 5340, all introduced into our state legislation here in Washington State. And obviously this will come with information to for yourself to get involved, things like that, But again, the whole point of this article, or the whole point of this podcast, is a call to action to disobey unjust laws. Now, I understand there's people with guns that shouldn't have guns. There's nothing you can do about it, because in the Constitution, it doesn't have anywhere written in the Constitution that the Constitution will protect you. In fact, there's famous quotes saying that Do not trade your liberty for security, because then you have neither. So, no, the Constitution does not protect you. Let me say that again. The Constitution does not protect you. It only allows you the ability to protect yourself, something you already have the ability to do. All the Constitution does is remind you of your own ability that you have to protect yourself. No one else is responsible for protecting you. I mean, I'm responsible for protecting my children until they turn 18, they become adults, then they are responsible for protecting themselves. Hopefully they grow up, they become able-minded people who can think for themselves and they're not sheep. Until then, though, I'm responsible for protecting them. Now, it has nothing to do with the Constitution. However, as adults, the law enforcement, the police in your area have no responsibility to protect you. I mean, you could literally be on the side of a street getting your ass handed to you with a guy with a hammer, and a cop does not need to do anything. They have no responsibility to protect you. We all have the responsibility to protect ourselves. And that's what these people, Habib, doing these PR stunts, these public relations stunts about how he can't do a speech because, well, Chambers doesn't block people who have concealed weapons permits, so I can't do a speech because someone might have a gun. That's a PR stunt. It's a PR stunt. You know what that PR stunt should have done for us? We should have fired him. We should have said, okay, that's cool, can't do your job, you're out of here. Because I'll tell you right now, I'll take his job right now. I will trade everything I have right now to take the lieutenant governor's position in the House. Like, or on the floor, whatever. His job. I will take his job. If he can't do it, I will take it. And I know there's tons of people who are next in line that would love to take it. Let's get a couple more less Democrats out of there, throw in some Republicans if that's what it's going to come down to. I know a lot of people who are involved in politics, like, hand that seat over to Maya Espinoza. Hand it over to Maya. She will do a much... I don't see Maya ever coming out and saying she cannot attend a speech because there might be a firearm in the crowd. I do not see that happening. In fact, I was with Maya when we did Civil Air Patrol training, and we both got to handle weaponry together. I've been with Maya when we both were on military aircraft together. I don't see Maya, who, in my opinion, would make a better lieutenant governor than Habib here. Excuse my French, but messing up like Habib. So, call to action. There's going to be a lot more videos. Do check out Sean Havoc's call to action videos on his YouTube. Sean Havoc on YouTube. Other than that, my call to action for you, which I'll be doing myself and I'll proudly admit, is to disobey these unjust laws. If these laws become law. If a majority vote here in our great democracy, which we're not, we're a republic, but if we get a majority vote here that says I can't carry my high-capacity magazines that are grandfathered into me to and from the range, and I'm facing a Class C felony, one, I already know the cops, and the cops that I know, and the cops that I don't know will not enforce this. At the same time, good luck. You're going to turn a law-abiding citizen into a felon for no reason? Thanks. So, again, call to action. Oh, and not to mention how many businesses these bills put out. I mean, if you're a firearm shop owner, this is ridiculous, man. I mean, if you own a firearm shop, that means you cannot sell your guns anymore. In state, out of state, you can't even hold transfers anymore. You can't even dispose of people's guns anymore. So it's just ridiculous. It's the last step, the last straw before the national news says that the communist takeover was first started in Washington because they got the guns. So we're gonna end it there. We're at 10 minutes. So I don't want to bore you guys for too long. But again, this is a call to action. Call to action is to disobey the unjust laws, as I will be doing myself. I will be leading by example on this one. I hope you do as well. So again, thanks for listening to our 10th episode of our second season of TACTALK. I'm your host, Alden Morris. And I would, again, check out the links I've left at the bottom here. And thank you for listening. You guys have a good day.